Welcome back to the Buckmaster Show. Joining me in studio, retired Air Force Colonel Martha McSally, the first American to fly in combat since the 1991 lifting of the prohibition of women in combat. Colonel McSally flew A-10 aircraft over Iraq and Kuwait in support of Operation Southern Watch. She is also the first woman to command a U.S. Air Force fighter squadron, the 354th Fighter Squadron, based at Davis Mountain Air Force Base here in Tucson. In 2001, she successfully sued the Pentagon over requiring that she wear the traditional black Muslim cloaks off the base. Prior to her run last year for Congress as a Republican in Arizona's 2nd District, where she was narrowly defeated by Democrat Ron Barber, McSally was a professor of National Security Studies at the George C. Marshall Center in Germany. Martha, how are you?
I'm doing great, Bill. Thanks for having me back on.
It's good to see you again. It's been a couple of weeks, a few weeks anyway, since you made the official announcement that you will try to win a rematch with Congressman Barber. How would you characterize Mr. Barber's performance representing the people of District 2?
Well, Mr. Barber's been a bureaucrat and a staffer for his whole life. And so when I'm out talking to people, they're not impressed with how he's conducting himself because he's just not a leader. He's basically a bystander in a lot of ways. If you see what comes out of his mouth, he talks about all the things that are wrong with D.C. as if he's not there, and part of the problem. He votes, defensively because he knows this is a center slightly right district. So he crosses over and votes with the Republicans, quite frankly, when the votes often don't matter because they're not going to see the light of the day in the Senate, and he thinks that'll help him in this rematch race. And so he's just trying to keep his job. Basically, is how he's coming across to the people I'm talking to. In order to get to that rematch, you must first beat Republican primary in the primary against Ed Martin. Mr. Martin, who was on our program last week, has worked on Capitol Hill as a staffer and a staffer in the New York legislature. When I asked him about you, he said he has no idea what you stand for. Well, I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous, but that's what people do when they're, in a position where they're going against someone who's, clearly got the advantage. I mean, we've been through 2 Republican primaries. I went through, I think, 10 debates in the first Republican primary for the special election. We've asked in 2 debates in the general election. I've had plenty of editorial board interviews, plenty of radio interviews. So I guess he just hasn't done his research. I've been pretty straightforward about what I stand for, and that's fighting for the people of Southern Arizona first and foremost, having servant leadership as a mindset when you go to Washington, D.C., as opposed to trying to save your job and get reelected, which is really a big part of the problem we have in D.C. right now. And we can start going through the issues if you want to, but, I do believe... Well, give us a couple of your top priorities. Sure. I mean, jobs and economic security is still the number one priority in this community. And, people are struggling because Washington, D.C., quite frankly, keeps kicking the can, right? And so they're not bringing economic certainty for us for the future. So you have small businesses that are maybe able to expand, but they're not willing to expand because they're not sure what's coming next. Same thing with our larger businesses in town. We now have, obviously, concerns over the future of the A-10 in Davis-Monthan. We've got, people concerned that their kids are graduating from college at the U of A, and then they leave town because there's no good jobs here. Many of them are moving back into with their parents and working in, services industries and things that they're much overqualified for. And so this uncertainty is what's really impacting. People are not spending their money the way they should. They're not able to get the jobs and the job training that they need. So first and foremost, Washington, D.C. needs to do their job so that we settle things down and we realize, hey, we're on a budget, we're addressing our debt, and we're able in a very predictable way through some of the things that need to be reformed, like our taxes and immigration and all that. We put things at ease so that businesses can start hiring again and growing again. People can start feel that confidence to spend their money. So, I mean, this is like the larger issue going on in D.C. All right. So you put jobs
jobs and economic security
Absolutely.
at the top of the list. We have a couple of callers on hold, but before I go to them, Rose, I do want to put have a couple of Facebook comments and questions. A Rob on the Buckmaster Facebook page asks, is Martha McSally a carpetbagger or a real candidate? And Rob is saying that you're not from the state and not familiar with the majority of the district.
Well, I think many people in Arizona are not from the state originally, which is one of the great things about our state, right? We have people who are fifth-generation Arizonans combined with others that have moved in here. Look, I served 26 years in uniform. I first came to Davis-Monthan when I chose to fly the A-10 over every other fighter I was offered in the inventory. I bought my house in 1994 here. I had 4 assignments here. So in my 22 years as an officer, I spent 9.5, almost 10 years stationed here, which I kept asking to come back. Other times I was ordered away in order to protect our nation. So, and then when I went to be a legislative fellow and I had a choice to serve any of the 535 members of Congress, I worked for Senator John Kyle so I could continue to fight for Arizona. So, I mean, I've had the Tour de Tucson Mountains bike race named after me, dedicated to me. I've won the YWCA Women on the Move and the University of Arizona Women Who Lead. I've been actively involved in this community for the years that I've been here, and I am proud to call myself a Southern Arizonan.
Martha McSally is with us on the Buckmaster Show, 790-2040. Now let's go to the live line. Chris is up first. Chris, you're with Martha McSally. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Bill. Yes, Colonel McSally, thank you for your service to this great country. Obviously, you are a fighter pilot, and I'm assuming you support women in combat on the ground level. Would that be a correct statement?
Well, women are in combat on the ground level, and they are showing great valor and capability and actually criticality in what they're doing, especially in counterinsurgency situations when we're trying to win over 100% of the population. We can't do it with just men. So, I support having the best, most capable military that we can have based on a setting standards and a meritocratic approach. I know it's kind of a big word, but that we make sure we set standards and we pick the best man for the job, even if it's a woman.
Okay, Matthew is up next, and Matthew, you're with Colonel McSally.
Yes, and again, I want to thank Colonel McSally for her service to our country, and also for attending the World War II Memorial. I hear she was there.
Yes, I was, in my uniform. It was an awesome opportunity to give honor where honor is due, finally, for those Tucsonans and those in Pima County who gave the ultimate sacrifice in World War II.
Colonel McSally, when your opponent was on, I got a chance to ask him about his position on earmarks. I will tell you that I'm not sure he actually answered the question because he did have limited time, but he wasn't willing to give a yes or no. So I'm not asking you if you want to give a yes or no on earmarks, but have you thought about earmarks and how they have both a positive and negative effect on districts?
Absolutely.
And I'll let you answer.
Yeah, so, when I worked for Senator Kyle for a year, and again, if you look at kind of what the purity of the process is supposed to be, as people, as representatives are advocating and are fighting for the things that matter for their districts, and, by the way, providing oversight to federal agencies, the intent of saying specifically, hey, we're not just going to give you a $1 jillion budget, certain, whatever agency it is, we're going to, give you some direction as to how you can and cannot spend it. I mean, that is a primary job of Congress in their role of oversight of federal agencies, because otherwise you just give them a big budget and then they can run amok with it and you don't provide that direction. What's happened over time, as we all know, is earmarks just became the pork barrel politics of everybody just putting in their projects that are not good for the country overall, and their special interests, or giving projects back to donors and all that kind of stuff. And that, quite frankly, is borderline on corruption, right? So, the issue is, again, who's in Washington, D.C. and how are they conducting themselves, and whether they're doing it with the nation and service to what's right fight first, as opposed to cronyism. So, I mean, we've now had to we've had a moratorium on them altogether to roll it back, which I agree based on the circumstances. But if we really had people that were public servants there trying to do the right thing, I think there could be the leeway of the capability to use those as an oversight mechanism as long as that is not abused.
All right, I want to go back to Chris. Chris actually had a follow-up on women in combat, and we try to be very accommodating here on the Buckmaster Show to our callers. Quickly, Chris, your follow-up.
Thanks for taking the follow-up. Yes, Colonel, would you support a drafting of women, since you do believe that they are already on the ground during combat? Do you believe that they should be drafted? And if so, would you support that bill or even propose that bill?
Well, again, there's a separate discussion over whether, people believe we should be having men still signing up for selective service and whether we should ever be, drafting our men into combat. But if you want to make the argument that signing up for selective service is part of your role of citizenship, that if the nation needs you in a national crisis in whatever capacity, that we need to call you to do that. And as an example, World War II, we had women serving in all sorts of capacities. They weren't drafted, but we were using them in many capacities. So if you make the argument that it's tied to your citizenship responsibility, then I think that is an equal opportunity responsibility for men and women. That doesn't mean, you've got, young 18-year-old women who are unfit that are going to be drafted to the infantry. I mean, the tooth-to-tail ratio in our military is very small number are actually in those combat positions. And if you can do a job that you are best equipped for that helps the effort, regardless of what you bring, then I think that needs to be brought across the board, not just 50% of the population.
All right. We have a full board of callers, but we do need to take a break so we can let you hear from the people who make this program possible. We ask that you support them. We'll be right back with Colonel Martha McSally.
Hi, this is Al Zaragoza, the voice of Culligan Water in Southern Arizona. Even the highest efficiency washing machine won't make your laundry soft and bright if you have hard water. It's the same for your dishwasher with spotted glasses. So why not call the Culligan Man? Culligan now has a high-efficiency water softener that virtually eliminates hard water problems throughout your entire home. Your laundry is brighter and softer, glasses and shower doors are spot-free, and soaps and detergents last longer. Plus, it saves you up to 46% in water, salt, and energy. So if you're looking for ways to end hard water problems and save money around the house, a Culligan high-efficiency water softener works wonders. In fact, it makes all of your high-efficiency appliances work better and last longer. Thanks to Culligan, 100% satisfaction guarantee, your future, your home, and your laundry are guaranteed to be brighter. Call Culligan Water at 792-9700. 792-9700. Culligan. Better water, pure and simple.
Limited time offer.
The nonprofit Tucson Animal Rescue Organization, Tucson Wildlife Center, is in the midst of a capital campaign to build Arizona's first state-of-the-art hospital for wildlife. The facility will help staff and volunteers care for nearly 1,000 raptors and mammals it receives each year at its Far East Side facility. To donate online, go to TucsonWildlife.com. For more information about wildlife rescue, visit the website or call 290-WILD. The Green Valley News and Sarita Sun cover two of Arizona's most desirable communities. The newspapers reach more than 75% of the communities each week, with a combined population of more than 50,000. The Green Valley News also publishes a dozen magazines each year, and both newspapers publish up-to-the-minute local news online at gvnews.com. The Green Valley News and Sarita Sun, it's all right here.
Southern Arizona is home to one of the world's most trusted sources of information on medicines. The Credible Meds website is visited each day by over 2,000 people from more than 60 countries. You too can learn how to personalize your medications and take control of your health care. Visit CredibleMeds.org today and join Bill Buckmaster each month as he and Dr. Ray Woosley, founder of Credible Meds, give you practical tips on how to get the most from your medications.
For more than 40 years, Pima Community College has helped our neighbors realize their dreams, prepare for meaningful employment, improve their quality of life, and build a better community. We haven't done it alone. Your continuing investment in education has made it possible for us to prepare hundreds of thousands of Southern Arizonans for jobs. Today's PCC students will be tomorrow's firefighters, nurses, police officers, teachers, and small business owners, the backbone of a smart, thriving Tucson and Pima County. Our region has not been immune to the unprecedented economic challenges of the past few years. During this time, PCC has prided itself on offering crucial programs and services at an extremely affordable price. We remain one of Arizona's best education bargains. With your ongoing support, we look forward to embarking on new directions and building new community connections that ensure the people of Pima County will prosper today and in the future. For more information, contact us at 206-4500 or visit us at pima.edu. Pima Community College, developing our community through learning.
In my 25 years in Tucson, I have had only one dentist, Dr. Lisa Fogel. This highly skilled dental professional has a caring, friendly, can-do attitude that makes Dr. Fogel the choice of the Buckmaster family. Dr. Fogel's lovely state-of-the-art dental office is conveniently located on North Swan, just south of Speedway. For an appointment, call 881-1856 or visit lisafogeldentaLessentials.com. Welcome back to the Buckmaster Show. This portion of the Buckmaster Show brought to you by our friends in Silver City and Grant County, New Mexico. They have the Fiber Arts Festival coming up November 15th and 16th, just three and a half hours east of Tucson to historic Silver City. Lots of great places to stay, including Faywood Hot Springs, Georgetown Cabins, and Casitas de Gila. You can find out more at their fine website, southwestnewmexico.org. Colonel Martha McSally is with us, Republican candidate in the Congressional District number 2. Quick Facebook question for you. This comes from John. Why should people vote for you since the Republican Party doesn't appear to be serious about governing?
Well, I would hope people would vote for an individual, and I believe, one person can make a difference. So there's lots of dysfunction right now, and it doesn't look like either party, quite frankly, is interested in governing. And I'm a very pragmatic, solution-oriented person, and that's one reason why I'm stepping up to serve, because I want to get them back to governing again. All
right, to the live line we go. Joe will be up first. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate you being there. I had no idea you were teaching in national security class, but what comes to mind when I hear that is the whole Ed Snowden, and yesterday Senator Surveillance Dianne Feinstein just pushed through bulk data collection on all Americans. And this detailed profile building, it's part of this pervasive weirdness that's going on.
Yep.
Hold on, this is about corporate spying.
Real quickly, because I've got a full board, Joe.
I understand, but this is in Second Amendment. If you support a Second Amendment, they know all this data about you. Whatever happened to reasonable suspicion, and whatever happened to Republicans really stepping up to the pump and being relevant like that last Facebook question was?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, if you were asking about my position on Second Amendment, I'm a very strong Second Amendment supporter. I was endorsed by the NSA in the last election, and I will continue to... I'm sorry, not the NSA. Oh, my God. The NRA. Sorry, we're just talking about the NSA. I was endorsed by the NRA in the last election, and I will, continue to fight for our constitutional rights there. And I agree with you, Joe. I mean, what's been going on, it should be alarming to Americans that we've got our privacy, just our personal constitutional protections are really under assault here, and we need to be cognizant of that, and we need people that are fighting for that. Security at all costs is not the solution for our nation if we've had to give up our personal liberties. And having fought in the security establishment before, I get how bureaucracies can sometimes hide behind things, and they need more and more and more, in order to make sure that we're secure. So I promise you that I will be fighting for those things, and as we're balancing, protecting us from terrorist attacks and the other threats that we have to balance that with the protection of our privacy and our own constitutional rights.
And so far, the NSA has not started endorsing.
No, the NSA has not endorsed me. Just
endorsing candidates.
Oh I'm sure they're reading my emails.
Yeah.
Though, so.
Jim is up next. I think it's Jim Kelly. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi. Good afternoon, Bill.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Colonel McSally. Listen, I have a really huge problem with our budget being created on continuing resolution.
Yep.
What will you do to adopt the continuing resolutions, by the way, which would solve a lot of the overreach of agencies like the
I agree.
NSA, which is their birthday today, by the way.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I mean, this gets back to Congress is failing to do its job. It has not passed a budget, as everyone knows, in, over 5 years. It hasn't passed appropriations bills, not one of them this year, and very few in years past. And we get into this continuing resolution where you don't then have the mechanism to provide oversight to reel in the federal agencies. And actually, as someone who's been in the Defense Department, when we're operating under CRs, you can't plan effectively. You can't plan for new projects, and you actually end up spending more in the long run than if you were just able to plan appropriately with an appropriations bill. So, I mean, what I'm going to do is do my part to fight to make sure that Congress does its job. It certainly would be great that, if Congress didn't get paid or some other mechanism, if they didn't actually pass a budget every year and pass their appropriations bills. We just got to bring the right mindset to Washington, D.C. Every 435 of them are up for re-election this year. People who are willing to step up and do their job. Even if you have to bridge a great canyon between the two sides, you still pass those appropriations bills every year so that there can be good planning.
All right. We go to Andrew on the Buckmaster Live line. Go ahead, Andrew. You're with Colonel McSally.
Hi, good afternoon, Colonel, and thank you for your time and your service.
Sure.
I just have a few questions about the A-10.
Sure.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the future of the A-10, and I was just wondering, what are your opinions about the A-10, and what is the real significance and importance here for Davis-Monthan moving forward?
Thank you very much. For those who don't know, I flew the A-10. I have 325 combat hours in the A-10 to include Iraq and Afghanistan. I was the commander of the one deployable A-10 squadron here at Davis-Monthan that's responsible to deploy anywhere in the world on 24 hours notice. Look, there's no other airplane in our inventory like the A-10 whose job is to show up when Americans are on the ground under fire in very complex situations that are fluid and provide that close support to them where there's a high risk of fratricide and civilian casualties. No other plane can do it. So there's two issues here that, for those who are not aware, the Air Force is likely, if sequestration goes through, to be getting rid of the A-10 in the next fiscal year. So there's two issues. One is that is bad for our military. That's bad for those who are on the ground under fire, who need to make sure they have the capability overhead that's going to keep them alive. So we've got to keep the A-10, on the books. It eventually was going to be replaced by the Joint Strike Fighter, but the Joint Strike Fighter cannot do the mission like that. So we have got to fight for the A-10 because it's the right thing to do for those on the ground. Secondly, if the A-10 were to go away, we have 3 squadrons here. And so the economic impact, $1.6 billion for this community, would be devastating. And then Davis-Monthan becomes at risk to be closed in the next round of base closures, which are it's not on the schedule right now, but could happen as early as 2017. So this is a pretty big deal to our nation and to our community. And we can talk about it after the break, but Barber's been asleep at the wheel. I was the one who alerted in an op-ed on this, and Barber didn't even know what was going on, and now he's trying to cover his tracks. And he's on the Armed Services Committee.
All right. Your website for folks who would like to find out more?
Sure. www.McSallyforcongress.com. FOR spelled out.
You're a huge animal welfare rights person, and on Facebook you have been trying to find a home for Noah.
Yes. Noah
Quickly.
Noah is a dog I came across at Lackland Air Force Base at my nephew's graduation from basic training. He's a wonderful little dog. He's been through hell, and
one eye.
He's a pit mix, and he's just a wonderful little lover, very loyal. He needs to be an only child, and he's got some special needs, but you will really love him.
Where is he?
He's at the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. He's considered a hidden gem. He's not in the normal adoption area, and I just love this guy. I went to walk him yesterday, and he just really needs a home, so please find it in your heart to give him a chance.
All right, I hope we get a home for Noah. Thank you very much, Colonel McSally.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Good seeing you. Thanks a lot.